All right, Lions fans, we're back with another one. This is your guy. I'm not a Lions fan, but I do have a gripe to point out. I want to express the support of Matt Patricia, and I would say Bob Quinn, Matt Patricia, the whole New England way, and why I believe that it is successful wherever it goes, regardless if it's Bill Belichick or not. It's showing proof of that it's in Tampa Bay. It's that tree is everywhere. It's like the Bill Walsh tree. It goes everywhere and it's successful. Now, would it have the same impact that Bill Walsh had with all the components being with San Francisco? No, it would not. But the exact same comparison, would the New England tree or the Bill Belichick tree be successful elsewhere versus being all together at once up under Bill Belichick? No, it would not. There's one exception. There's a reason why those trees work where they work at, or why they're successful where they're successful at. And every now and again, you may get a tree that sprinkles something. Let's say, for example, with the Bill Walsh tree, you had Mike Holmgren that came from there, Ray Rhodes, and you had Denny Green, and you had a Mike Shanahan. You had a plethora of people that came from up under Bill Walsh. And I'm going to point out two places where the representation went from San Francisco to those teams. You could say Mike Holmgren. Mike Holmgren won, right? He won in Green Bay. It took him a while, but he won. Let's see. And you could say the same thing. Well, I think he's the only one, I believe, that actually won, if I'm not mistaken, from up under the Bill Walsh tree, Super Bowl, that is. The other ones were in the Super Bowl. I mean, Super Bowl. The other ones were in the playoffs, and they were contenders and so forth. But I say all that to say that why do I believe the Bill Belichick tree, why it will work anywhere, and I will give you the very reason why it won't work. Why it will work? Look what Tom Brady is doing with the Bucks, right? It's not that whole Bucks situation set up this same thing in like a rep, even though it's Aaron's, is Bruce Aaron's, but it's set up the New England way. So all Tom Brady has to do is be what he learned in New England. He is almost like they came to Tom Brady, said, what we're going to do, what exactly would it take to make the mirror image of New England so you can be successful here? So he said, give me this, give me this, give me this, do this, do this. And you know, along with Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians did the defensive side of the ball. He said, I'll worry about this over here. You tell me what you need on the offense. All right. When Bob Quinn and Patricia came here, did anybody have that option? No. And this is the very reason why I would say why Patricia or the Bob Quinn and Patricia era in Detroit will not be successful, or where if it is successful, they're going to really have to work at it. 3 years is not going to be enough. Fourth year, maybe, like I pointed out to a podcast, I said that if you're going to keep Patricia, you're going to have to give him let me change that. For the Patricia system to work, you're going to have to give him one more offseason. And here's the very reason. Now, if you had Tom Brady here instead of Matthew Stafford, you don't need another year of an offseason with Patricia. Matter of fact, you probably could have won in 2 years versus Matthew Stafford. Here's the reason why. And I'm going to point out why Matthew Stafford probably will be better in possibly 2 locations. I would say he would probably be successfully better, maybe possibly 3. I'll give you Denver, Dallas, and Jacksonville. Denver, Dallas, and Jacksonville. Stafford will be immediately a success. All right, but going to the Patricia thing, why, if Tom Brady was here versus Matthew Stafford, First of all, Tom Brady is not a gunslinger. When when he was up under Bill Belichick, he groomed him into a situational football quarterback. So this is what makes Tom Brady so efficient. He's situational. How Patricia runs his system is based upon situations. If you don't have the players that can adapt to that, they have to be able to think on the fly. Stafford is not that type of guy. Stafford is like a Brett Favre, John Elway type of guy. He's a slinger, and we'll deal with the results later. My job is to throw it. Hey, the receiver job is to do what he has to do to get the ball. So I never known for Brett Favre or John Elway to be the most considered accurate quarterback. In other words, in terms of possession ball. Now, John Elway, you got to the Super Bowl a couple times, but he couldn't win until I want to say Mike Shanahan got there, because up under Dan Reeves, I think he went to the Super Bowl a couple years, but he couldn't get over the hump. But when Mike Shanahan got there, it became like a West Coast offense type deal. And when it became a West Coast offense, that means John Elway wasn't more so of a gunslinger. He was a situational whatever. So when they did that, they had a decent defense, I believe. I think Neil Smith had just came from Kansas City over to the Broncos during that time, and I think they had somebody else over there that was pretty potent too. The defense was pretty good. So they, in the sixth round, they get a guy in the name of Terrell Davis. The fourth or sixth round, between somewhere around there, he was a late round pick. But I don't know what I think it was a zone that I don't know what they was running, but it was so right up the way for Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis. It was just so what he was. So they took the ball out of John Elway's hand of him being a gunslinger, and they made it to situational football. So Mike Shanahan came with the West Coast, and boom, they went on, and they won a couple Super Bowls. Now, I say that in comparison to Patricia being here. The reason why I would say give Patricia another year, or it would take another offseason for Patricia, you will go the offense is set minus one situation. Let's say, even hypothetically, even if they do not sign Kenny Golladay, they are missing one element on the offense side of the ball, and that is a left guard. They are missing a left guard. That's one element on the offense that they're missing. If you want to sprinkle in a few extra bonus pieces, you can. So be it. You could get another receiver in the later rounds or something like that. I don't know. But I believe they're going to sign Kenny Golladay. I believe they already got that situated and everything else. And, it's just a matter of timing when they're going to do it. If he's willing, or maybe he had a high steep of a price and they trying to wait for his price to come down. But if that could be just a battle of whatever, or he may say, I don't want to be here. I'm going to play it out, whatever. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Either which way it go, I believe the Lions are in a good position on offense. Now, the only problem that they will have, and it basically it coincide with the whole argument of why I would say Tom Brady will be immediately successful here. With this team, what he has right now, not adding not one piece, he will be immediately successful because he's Tom Brady. Tom Brady is a situational quarterback. He is not a gunslinger. He is not a guy that likes to get like 5,000 yards. He is Bill Belichick as a quarterback. This is why he's successful with the Bucs. Tom Brady will be successful anywhere he go if you give him what he needs. What he needs is to be able to play situational football. You give him a competent run game. You give him a tight end. Tight end. You may get a receiver and not get throw the hood off. Throw the roof off. You may get a Randy Moss or whoever else they can go deep, whatever. But it's not really necessary. They won with Troy Brown. That type deal. So I am saying that to say When Patricia got here, he inherited Matthew Stafford, and there's gripe now about Bevel. The only gripe that there is what Bevel is having is the same gripe that every coordinator or every head coach has had since when they get here. Matthew Stafford is the problem. Am I saying Matthew Stafford is a problem? No, Matthew Stafford is the problem. They inherited a problem. What they would try to do is try to see if you can work with him. Matthew Stafford, if you're going to keep Matthew Stafford happy, you're gonna have to be able to let him throw the ball. But you don't win that way. You win with a dominant defense, or you just say a good to dominant defense, and then you run with then you on offense you play situational football. Okay, every now and again you get a Kansas City Chiefs or something like that that can run up the scoreboards or something, but like the greatest show on turf. But how long do that last? How many Super Bowls did the turf greatest show on turf get? And we'll see if Kansas City can repeat itself. We'll see. So situational football will always win. You give that a good let's say great to dominant, good to dominant defense, you will always win. You will always be a contender. Let's say it that way. You will always be a contender. You look at all the dynasties; they always have that component. They always had that component. It wasn't just a run game and a defense. It was situational football. Matthew Stafford is not a situational quarterback. At least he hasn't been groomed here to be. Now, if one more year it would take for him to continue to adjust to not having the ball in his hand, but actually having a run game and actually being able to throw the ball to your tight end. If what Gronk is to Brady is what Hawkinson will be to Matthew Stafford if his game adjusts and adapt to Bevel's system. Bevel's system is not like a gunslinger system. It's not like he had Dante Culpepper, when he was with the Vikings. I don't think he had Dante Culpepper. And forgive me if I'm wrong. I could really be wrong. I know he had Adrian Peterson, but I don't know if he had Dante Culpepper. They went from, I think, Rich Gannon, Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, and I think that's when he came in, when that regime was falling down and they came in through that way. I don't know who the quarterback was during that time, but I definitely don't believe it was a gunslinger per se. So I say that to say, was it Bridgewater? Was it Bridgewater? Bridgewater could have been a quarterback. I'm not sure. I believe it was Bridgewater. But anyway, Patricia needs one more year to make this defense stout. I mean, dominant. Look what is already assembled. This defense is like above average. It's like borderline good. It's starting to kick in. Like the guys like Pennicini and Shelton, they kicking in. You are one off season away from making this defense from you could shoot. It's like when they got Damon Harrison, and they went from the bottom of the run department, run defense to shot up in like a top 10, just for him being able to do his job. They are one off season away from making that defense from being above average, good, to dominant. That will require, though, if you're going to get a dominant defense, that's situational football now, right? So that means the best way to keep your defense fresh is to run the ball. So you got a choice now. Do you keep Stafford or you let him go or you let him walk? If you keep Stafford, you're going to have to keep a guy like Kenny Golladay where he can throw the ball and go he need a guy that will make him look good. That's what Calvin Johnson did, because Stafford is not an accurate quarterback. He's not a Tom Brady. He's not a Peyton Manning where he's a precise quarterback. He's a gunslinger. He's kind of erratic that way. Can you win with that? Yeah, you won with John Elway, and that type of deal. But why I would say that he would be good in John Elway because he is John Elway, well, outside the mobility, particularly when John Elway was mobile early in his career. But he will be great in Dallas because the team around him, Jerry Jones will do whatever it takes to get Stafford happy. He would. The offensive line is almost potent as it is, but Jerry Jones will do whatever it takes to make Stafford happy. He whatever what you need, I go get it. Jacksonville, I could say the same thing. Even though they got Minshew, whatever, if they're not sold on that, well, whatever, they can go another way. If any team is willing to do what it takes to make Stafford happy as a gunslinger, you go get it. First and foremost, you're gonna have to get you a guy that can leap out of the building. You're going, and that's pretty much it. And you may have your little scramble receivers or whatever that he can just throw it to get him out of whatever. But you need a guy that's gonna leap out of the building, play 50-50 ball or whatever the case may be. Because Stafford, he's that type of guy. So if you keep Patricia, it's a debate if you keep Matthew Stafford or not. This is why this team is kind of like, it's like for any coach that comes here, you're really handcuffed to a great deal dealing with Stafford because Stafford really doesn't have an identity of what kind of quarterback he is other than being a gunslinger. He don't have a particular style per se. So it's like Mahomes. Mahomes don't have a style per se. He's just you gotta. I don't know. I think that's a lightning in the bottle type deal. How they assemble that team to make it work for him. It's like playing with Allen Iverson. Back in the day when he was playing with Stackhouse, it couldn't make it work. Allen Iverson is a guy that probes, so his game is not really strategic. It's strategic in his head, but everybody's not in his head. So he's basically a guy, get out of my way type deal, let me probe. Barry Sanders-esque type guy. So the way this team is assembled, it's assembled for a Troy Aikman type. It's assembled perfectly for a Tom Brady guy. Situational football. It's not made for a gunslinger. You have like I said, you have a above to good defense, above average. Let me say it that way. You have above average to good defense. It's not good to great to dominance. It's not good to great and then great to dominance. It's not there yet. It's on its way. There is a bit of a conundrum where the Lions are. They have always been in this position. Particularly, you had two successful coaches, predominantly in Jim Schwartz and Carwell. You had two successful coaches, but their hands are tied with a quarterback. Their defense were good, or they're not. Their defense was good enough to win, but at offense, it's hard to gauge Stafford because even if you have a Calvin Johnson and you gave him a competent counterpart in Burleson or whoever that you want to get, it worked. But Stafford is like he's a prober, so to speak. He plays in his head, and if you're not in his head, you really don't know how to play off of him. It's kind of it's like a hard gauge, type deal. So David Blau is my ideal guy for like a situational football quarterback. There's a reason why. I ain't gonna say why Dallas and maybe feel the teams wanted him. He's a guy that's learning up under a competent quarterback. It's just the thing is they're trying to groom Stafford too late. Caldwell tried to do it by taking the ball out of his hands, and they tried to get a run game, but that offensive line was atrocious. And I'm sorry, they had no good running back, even from Mikael LaShore to Abdullah, to whoever they would get, they couldn't stay healthy. It just wouldn't work. So even when you had Joy Bell and Reggie Bush, it was based upon health and all that good stuff. And it would get going, then somebody would get hurt. It It was nowhere near where the possibility where it's at now. You actually have when they just cut it. We just cut it. They just cut Bo Scarborough, so they still have three competent running backs. So I'm just it's a tough way. It's a tough deal to win here because the best way to win is how every team has won, unless you get a team that's lightning in a bottle, such as the greatest show on turf, and you got what the Chiefs did. They could run up the scoreboard. Every now and again, you get those lightning in the bottles, but every other team, predominantly up to that, have played situational football. The dynasties, that is. Dynasties, not one that just come and win. Dynasties, they play situational football. So that is my spiel for why I believe you should keep Patricia for another offseason. You will have to give Patricia a dominant, like a great to dominant defense for him to win. And it's so in place. They are one offseason away. One offseason away. The offensive side of the ball is done. So now they can really focus on the defense side of the ball. They could go into this offseason focusing on the defense side of the ball. The offense is just, they miss a one, whatever. And I'm not in favor of signing Galladay for 15 to 20 million a season. I'm not in favor of that because that's going to take away from your defense. If you are in reach with winning with David Blau, and I don't know if Galladay was playing, but they had no run game. So tell me how that works. You get a run game, there's no need for Galladay. You understand what I'm saying? If you don't have a run game, there's a need for Calvin Johnson. If you have what Herman Moore was able to do, what Herman Moore, Johnny Morton, and Brett Perriman was able to do off of Barry Sanders is nothing but remarkable. You got a guy who you really don't know how to gauge in Barry Sanders. You don't know, you can't run this type of run. You basically got to toss it. You got to do this, whatever, and let him do what he do, right? How Herman Moore and Johnny Morton and Brett Perriman did it, I don't know. I don't know to this day. I understand why Novacek and Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin was successful with Emmitt Smith. It's understandable. I can understand why Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Brent Jones was successful to a Roger Craig. It's understandable. But I don't understand how Herman Moore, Brett Perriman, Johnny Moore, and even when later on they got David Sloan or whatever, that I don't know how they were successful with Barry Sanders. So same thing with the Lions. It's like you're replacing Barry Sanders with Matthew Stafford. It's like you really can't play winning football here. You got to play street ball. If you're going to keep Stafford, you have to play street ball. If you want to win and like in a consistent basis, you got to take the ball out of his hands. I've been saying it from day one. Day one, from the Quinn and Patricia era, I've been saying that from day one, predominantly, definitely this year. This from Zoss even take the ball out of his hand, take it out of his hands. He's not that guy he's not a John Elway. No, he is a John Elway. He is not a Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning works on precision, even though he's going to throw the ball deep, whatever, he's going to throw the ball. But he's not Peyton Manning. He's not an accurate quarterback. When Stafford's in a rhythm, he's in a rhythm. But it clicks in when it clicks in. It's not like that. It's not the most consistent, something that you can really depend on. Game in, game out. With that being said, the Lions is one offseason away. Regardless if they keep Patricia or not, this team is so well assembled. If they do go get a coach, they should get a coach who have head coach experience and who is a winner per se. You can't get nobody that this team is ready to go. Patricia have took it to the next level from Jim Caldwell and Jim Schwartz. He has taken it to the next level. They just need somebody to take it over the top now. It's been built. Is Jim Schwartz built it. Jim Caldwell built on top of that. Patricia, people may say Patricia tore it down. He didn't tear it down. He actually built on top of it. This team has actual competent. It's like I want to say if you bring a Mike Tomlin guy over here, bring a Mike Tomlin here, it's like immediate success. But at the same time, I don't know if Stafford would be his guy. It's like if you were to bring like a Bill Parcells here, and he's definitely retired and so forth. If you bring a guy like him over here, his team is ready for him. This is ready for him with a few tweaks, off season, and his team is ready to go. I'm talking about immediate contention. Day one, sound football. Like those penalty free, error free football or self imploding football. That would be out the window. This team, Patricia cleaned that up. I would consider Patricia like the Joe Clark of of the Lions. He cleaned it up, but he didn't get a chance to. He's on the way out the door because he's in his own way, and he's not recognized what he cleaned it up, but he not recognized that he had people with him to help him clean it up. Until you see that, he is in his own way. So you could win with Patricia, and I understand fans or even people on their podcast have said that Patricia's getting out of his own way. Yeah, what? If you continue to do that, I say one more season. But I also understand if they let him go. But if you let go of Patricia and you decide to let go of Quinn, you have to let go of Stafford. You have to. Because I do not know the way he plays. I cannot see winning football with him. I see street ball football. And I've never seen street ball football win. John Elway, Dan Marino was like street ball. It was constructive, but it was street ball. And John Elway had to get Brett Favre. Let's say that way. Brett Favre, John Elway was street ball football. They had to take that away from Brett Favre and John Elway. They had to take that from them, and it became now all of a sudden you got to have a run game with Brett Favre, and you have a run game with Elway, and now all of a sudden they can win. With that being said, Lions fans, I salute.